Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a new series. Oh, we have so many. Inspired always by a suggestion from one of you fine listeners. The suggestion was this. It was basically around along the lines of, I'm really getting into the Nielsen symphonies, but you never hear them live, or at least not many of them besides like number 4. And I was wondering how you would design concert programs that could introduce people to the Nielsen symphonies. And so I said to myself, Dave, one of the biggest problems I think we have in the concert world today is the unimaginative boringness of much concert programming. I mean, I look at orchestral schedules and I look at them over and over and I see just like nothing I'd want to go see, or at least not a whole concert that I'd want to go see. I don't know. I just think it's terrible. The number of conductors who are great program or concert season designers is so small. Of living conductors, I think Theodore Kuchar can do it. Leonard Slatkin is fabulous. There are a couple others who really designed interesting programs for their concerts. A good mix of interesting repertoire and familiar repertoire, something that'll bring people in but keep them there once they arrive. But I said to myself, one of the other great ones, by the way, was Erich Leinsdorf, who was just an amazing concert planner. I mean, he wasn't such a great conductor half the time, but the music was so interesting. I mean, I saw a bunch of his concerts toward the end of his life, and they were some of the most interesting and well-programmed things I've ever seen in my life, because he would conduct anything. And that really made it a treat to go see some of these pieces that you'd never get to hear live. Whether or not it was a great performance, you didn't really care. It was just so much fun to hear it. And so the first 6 of these talks is going to be a Nielsen cycle. And it makes sense to do it because Carl Nielsen is one of the truly great late Romantic composers. He's one of the great symphonists that ever lived. His symphonies are not as well known as they ought to be, not by a long shot. And the late ones tend to dwarf the early ones, even though they're wonderful works. And so we're going to start at the beginning, and we're going to do this. And I'm doing this as a service to, first of all, if you want to simply play these concerts through at home, why not? Tonight makes a nice couple of hours of listening, and for conductors and other people who are looking for programming, because it's just terrible what's happening in the world of live music as often as not. I know there are exceptions. I know there are people who are more imaginative, but in general, it's a terrible scene. So, number 1, we're going to deal with Nielsen Symphony No. 1, which is a lovely work. It's in a clearly traditional sort of Brahmsian, you might call it Brahms, Beethoven tradition. Like most of Nielsen's works, it's full of energy from the beginning. It starts with a bang. And what really is interesting about Nielsen is that from the very, very start, his third movements, his scherzos, which were what would be the scherzo, pardon me, he took the Brahmsian approach. In other words, he didn't write dance pieces. His outer movements have all the energy. His inner movements tend to be more intermezzo-ish, like Brahms did. And the scherzo, or third movement of this symphony, is wonderful. It's the most characteristic part of the symphony, probably, at least the most prophetic of his late style. It could not have been written by anybody else, but it's not a quick scherzo at all. It's a sort of mellow, but it's very developmental. It's hard to describe. It's uncategorizably great. It has a wonderful opening tune on the bassoons. Da 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 bum ba 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 ya da 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 da. Oh, it's great. It's in like 6/4 or one of those compound meters. It's got a lot of very subtle syncopated rhythms that keep the music flowing and keep you guessing where it's going. I love this music. So the first symphony deserves to be heard once in a while. Brahms admired it. Did I say that? I don't know. I mean, it's good music. It's really good music. So where do you put it? How do you deal with it? Well, here's my program. My program consists, in this case, of 3 works. First of all, you got to get people in. So you got to pick something that might, hold some immediate appeal for those who don't know Nielsen 1. And second of all, you got to do some smart programming with your soloist. You need a banging pianist to come in and really make this concert work. But of course, that's what everyone's doing now. They want to get name artists. Name artists, let's face it, that's what draws your audience. So the program consists of, first, The Sorcerer's Apprentice by Dukas, When was the last time you heard that in a concert? Nobody plays it. They don't play it because it's hard. It's really hard. But today's orchestras could do it. Yeah, they'd have to rehearse it a bit. It would take some rehearsal. But it's brilliant and it's fun, and no one seems to want to do it all that regularly. So that would be, I think, an amazing concert opener. I really do. Then, still in the first half, Nielsen's First Symphony. It's big, it's meaty, it's listenable, it's beautiful, and it will keep people until the second half. So it's sandwiched in there, and they'll be so pleasantly surprised and happy with it because it's a major work, and it's like all of Nielsen's music, it's so invigorating and fabulous. So that's the first half. Then we have intermission. So if you're sitting at home and doing this, you get up, you go to the bathroom, you have a snack, you do whatever you're going to do, beat the kids, Anyway. And for the second half, one single concerto with our slammin' soloist, Prokofiev No. 2. Now, Prokofiev's most famous concerto is his third, and it's a great, great work, but it's not a second half piece. It really isn't. It's a little too short and maybe a little too light, but it is just totally awesomely wonderful. But the second is a big 4-movement symphonic concerto. It's Prokofiev's longest. It's like 35 minutes long. It has the first movement cadenza from hell, which allows the pianist to literally reduce the piano to kindling. I mean, if there's nothing broken by the end of the first movement, then he hasn't played it correctly. And then the other movements are all in one way or another rather quick. There's no real slow movement, but it's vintage Prokofiev, fabulous Prokofiev with a greatly exciting finale that will bring the audience to its feet and allow the soloist to do a couple encores afterwards. I mean, the concert will just be a huge success, and you'd have to be deaf not to come away with a very, very good feeling about the Nielsen First Symphony, never mind the Prokofiev Second Piano Concerto, which deserves to be better known as well. But Prokofiev is a name. The Sorcerer's Apprentice is a name, and you have a big symphony in there too. I think that's an immensely rewarding program and a great way to introduce Nielsen's First Symphony to your audience of beginners or not as well educators or just your average bored concert goer who wants something to really get their pulse moving, because so many of these programs today just don't. So that's program number 1. Nielsen Symphony No. 1 tomorrow. I mean, the next one, of course, we'll do the Second Symphony and so forth until we finish all 6. Now, if you have some works that you think are lesser known and want to see how maybe they could be worked into a really good, subscription concert program so you can write letters to your local conductor or orchestra manager, let me know. And maybe we'll do some of them after we finish the Nielsen cycle. I have many, many works that I would like to talk about in the context of a regular concert season. And, I hope maybe some people will look at this series and maybe get some ideas from it. Because trust me, it's going to be good. I guarantee it's going to be good. It's going to be really, really interesting. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me, and let's enjoy this new series together. Take care.